I remember the days before the war, before the smoke and the screams. Back then, the village of Fenwood was peaceful, one of those places that felt like it was stuck in time, where everyone knew each other's names, where the rhythm of life was dictated by the seasons. I was just a boy then, about 10, and life was simple. My father worked as the village blacksmith, his hammer ringing against metal from sunrise until the sun dipped low behind the hills. My mother was the village healer, always busy, always helping. If someone had a fever or a cut, she was the first one to be called. She had this way of making everything better with just a gentle touch or a few words. I remember the smell of herbs, the soft glow of lanterns at night, and her warm hands on my forehead when I wasn't feeling well. And then there was Ina. She wasn't anything special at first, not to anyone but me. I'd known her since we were both toddlers. She had that wild, untamable look in her eyes, even as a child. I always thought she was different from the other kids in the village. Where others were quiet and obedient, Aina was loud, curious, always running off to explore, always asking questions that no one could answer. We lived near each other. Our houses were just a few steps apart, and her family was one of the oldest in Fenwood. Her father, Old Bram, was a fisherman. He had this weathered face, a big beard that hid most of his smile, but when he did smile, it made you feel like everything was okay. Her mother, Mara, was kind, but a little distant. She didn't talk much to anyone, except Ina, and when she did, it was always soft and measured. I never really understood their relationship. Mara was different with Ina, almost like she was afraid of her. Ina's younger sister, Lyra, was the quiet one. She was always hanging on to Ina's skirts, looking up at her like Ina was some sort of hero. They were close, closer than any two sisters I'd ever seen. But it wasn't always like this. Life wasn't always calm, always perfect. I remember the first time I saw Ina do something that made me stop and think, maybe she's not just some wild child. It was the Harvest Festival, one of the biggest events of the year. Everyone in Fenwood gathered by the big oak tree in the village square to celebrate the end of the harvest, with music, food, and games. The air was full of laughter, the sound of fiddles playing, the smell of roasted meat and bread. Ina had been playing with the other children, her hair flying around as she ran. I had been watching from a distance, content just to be part of the crowd. But then something happened, something that no one expected. One of the farmer's horses broke free from its stall and charged into the crowd. People screamed, and everyone scattered. The horse was wild, running everywhere, knocking over tables, trampling anything in its path. Ina, though, she didn't run. She dashed straight toward the horse, her small form darting between the legs of panicked villagers. At first I thought she was insane, but then I saw it. She moved like she knew exactly what the horse was going to do before it did it. She was quick, precise, and in one swift move she reached the animal's side, grabbing its reins with both hands. The crowd fell silent. Even the horse seemed to calm down, as if it had suddenly recognized her. I don't know how she did it, but in that moment, I understood something. Ina wasn't just different because of her wild nature. There was something in her, something strong, something that gave her power over the world around her. After that, people started to look at her differently. It wasn't just the way she handled the horse. It was the way she spoke, the way she carried herself. She seemed to know things no one else did. When she spoke, it was like she could see deeper into the world than anyone else could. I still remember the day when I decided to ask her what she saw, what she thought about when she looked at the stars at night. We were sitting by the river, our feet dangling over the edge as we skipped rocks. The sun was setting, painting everything in shades of gold. "What do you think happens when we die?" I asked, my voice quiet, unsure why I even wanted to know. Ina turned to me then, her face unreadable, her eyes full of secrets I couldn't understand. "I think," she paused, looking out across the water, "I think we're all part of something bigger. I think we're all just stories waiting to be told." But the village, Fenwood, it wasn't always as perfect as it seemed. Ina's family, despite being well-liked, was always the subject of whispers. There were rumors, always rumors, about Ina's mother, Mara, and her strange ways. Some said she had powers, that she could see into the future or talk to spirits. Others said that old Bram wasn't really Aina's father, that she was born from something darker, something cursed. I didn't believe it. But then there were the strange things that happened, things that didn't make sense. Like when Aina found a broken piece of an old stone tablet in the woods. And then a week later, one of the village elders was found dead in his home, his body contorted in a way no one could explain. I didn't know what to think anymore. But I did know one thing. Aina was someone who didn't belong in Fenwood, not because she wasn't good enough. No, it was because Fenwood wasn't ready for someone like her. And no one ever really knew what Aina was going to do next. One day, we were sitting by the river again, watching the sunlight dance across the water, and Aina turned to me with a serious look in her eyes. "I have to leave," she said simply, like it was just another fact of life. "Leave?" I asked, startled. "Where would you go?" She didn't answer. Instead, she just looked at me, her eyes distant, like she was already somewhere far away. And just like that, she was gone. I never saw her again before the war came. I don't know where she went or what happened to her, but I know this: whatever path she took, it was going to be different from ours. And the village of Fenwood, the village we all thought was invincible, would never be the same again. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe for more amazing stories. Hit the bell so you never miss out. See you next time.